Hello everyone, I'm Ronald Mehta and welcome back to Digi.com, a platform where we make life simple for management students worldwide. In this video on the subject of retail management, we are going to cover the topic on ethical and social issues in retailing. The video highlights key challenges faced by retailers in this space globally and the efforts made by retailers to stay on the right side of the law. In this video, we also get to learn the efforts put in by global retailers such as Walmart, IKEA, Starbucks, and McDonald's to see how they abide by the ethical and social principles. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with values relating to human conduct with respect to right or good and wrong or bad actions. Ethics is derived from the Greek word ethics, which means character. Here, ethics relates to retailers' moral principles and values. The retail industry is the first link in the distribution chain from the customer's point of view. It is therefore vital for retailers to act in an ethical manner because they affect the lives of many people. Moving on to ethical issues in retailing. First, ethical practice towards customers. The retailers should charge fair price for the products offered to them. The consumers have the right to get correct and precise knowledge about the products sold to them in respect of warranty, guarantee, price, usage, ingredients, etc. Next, ethical practice towards investors or shareholders. Shareholders must be given fair returns on their investment at regular intervals. The shareholders should be disclosed with correct information about the financial status of the business organization. Moving on, ethical practice towards employees. Ethical practices must also be followed towards the employees. The retail industry employs large volume of retail staff. Therefore, proper policies and procedures must be framed for the employees regarding recruitment, selection, training, promotion, welfare, etc. Negative issues relating to the employment relations in the workplace can lead to loss of reputation and consumers. Ultimately, it leads to poor staff morale, low productivity, and high labor turnover. To avoid these confrontations, the retail manager should follow ethical practices towards employees. Next in line are the social issues in retailing. Number 1. Keeping it clean and green. Keeping the environment clean. It also involves waste management and working on green management. This principle advocates that every retail organization should maintain their surroundings neatly. Organizations should not unnecessarily dump waste in the environment. Next, shopping for tomorrow. It states that a retail organization should supply goods for more sustainable lives of the consumers. Next, sourcing with care. This principle states that the retail organization should source the best products while minimizing social and environmental impacts. Next, building a great place to work. It states that every retail organization should create a congenial environment for the employees in such a way that should feel proud to work for the organization. And finally, being a good neighbor. This principle states that every retail organization should support the communities in which they operate. They should undertake social responsibilities and activities. Now, moving on to certain case studies that revolve around the ethical and social issues and how companies have addressed them. Let's start with the first one, which entails Walmart's ESG goals. As far as the opportunity is concerned, let's look at some numbers from Walmart's perspective. First, $19.5, which is the average total hourly compensation in the US. Next, more than 300,000 US associates promoted to jobs of higher pay and greater responsibility. Next, more than $2.8 billion in bonuses paid to US hourly associates. Next, over $100 million over 5 years committed by Walmart and the Walmart Foundation to create the Center for Racial Equity. And finally, greater than $13 billion in goods and services sourced from around 2,900 diverse suppliers from over their US businesses. Moving on to sustainability goals from Walmart. First, targeted zero emissions, without offsets across the company's global operations by 2040. Next, 12.1% reduction in Scope 1 and 2 emission. Next, estimated 36% of Walmart's global electricity needs were supplied by renewable sources in 2020. Next, 19% decrease in carbon intensity per revenue between 2016 and 2020. And finally, 81% of waste diverted from landfills and incineration globally by 2020. Moving on to the next example of Nike, wherein Nike holding its ground on social issues. On September 3, 2018, a single tweet created uproar. A picture of Colin Kaepernick face with the words, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." The message was spot on that Nike would be on the side of anti-racism. In the wake of George Floyd's murder, Nike flipped its tagline to read, "For once, don't do it," addressing ongoing protest around racism in America. Other issues that Nike stood ground on were like the 2017's Equality Spot or 2019's Never Stop Winning in support of the US women's national soccer team and gender equality. Moving on to the next example of IKEA and its suppliers. There are about 5.6 million people working for companies that directly supply IKEA around the world. In order to make sure that they are all treated fairly, IKEA in 2020 launched IWay, the IKEA Supplier Code of Conduct. All suppliers must comply with IWay requirements, otherwise they are phased out. IKEA suppliers are also responsible for communicating IWay to their sub-suppliers. For instance, in the Chinese market, IKEA has worked with approximately 400 Chinese suppliers to implement the so-called full IWay. The terms entail limits on working time to a maximum of 40 hours per week and 36 hours of overtime per month. This ultimately led to increase in work efficiency and new ways of working. Next, IKEA and social entrepreneurs. Introduced in 2012, IKEA has several ongoing partnerships with social entrepreneurs employing local artisans in weak communities around the world. The social enterprises IKEA partners with are mainly self-help groups and women-oriented cooperatives. For instance, An Anstance is a limited edition handicraft collection created with social entrepreneurs in India as well as 2 other countries. The items stand out for their collaborative, social-minded values as much as for the quality of design and hand finishing. Moving on to our next example of Starbucks and its plans to eliminate their famous single-use cups. In early 2022, Starbucks unveiled steps to reduce its disposable cup use. By the end of 2023, Starbucks customers will be able to use their own personal reusable cups for drive-thru and mobile orders in the United States and Canada. That includes drive-thru and mobile orders, which are currently excluded. Did you know? Single-use cups account for 20% of the company's global waste, which ultimately snowballs into 7 billion disposable cups every year. Moving on, the company has a goal to cut its waste and carbon emissions from direct operations in half by 2030. Disposable cups and lids make up to 40% of the company's packaging waste, according to its Chief Sustainability Officer, Michael Corbry. The company is testing borrow a cup programs in Japan, Singapore, and London. In South Korea, in fact, Starbucks has already pledged to discontinue single-use cups entirely by 2025. Moving on to our next example of McDonald's. McDonald's to phase out plastic toys and Happy Meals. Did you know? McDonald's sells more than 1 billion toys each year. The company is working with toy companies to develop new ideas. The ideas include 3-dimensional cardboard superheroes kids can build, or board games with plant-based or recycled game pieces. In fact, in the United Kingdom and Ireland, McDonald's restaurants are only offering soft toys, paper-based toys, or books. Next example of Walmart, where it saves millions by cutting cost. Walmart changed the way it buys shopping bags and saved about $60 million. The retailer said that it saved $60 million annually by changing how it buys shopping bags. Additionally, it is making workers' vests out of recyclable materials, thus cutting costs by 15%. It also previously stated that it was saving about $200 million by changing the light bulb in stores and parking lots, and another $20 million by using a new floor wax. And to our final example of Amazon. Amazon and the worker safety issue. Most of Amazon's biggest environmental, social, and governance issues stems from its own workers. The National Council of Occupational Safety and Health recently included Amazon in its Dirty Dozen list of most dangerous employers in the United States. Amazon warehouse working conditions and worker injuries have been a constant source of tension between the corporate giant and its critics. Worker safety is an often overlooked element of ESG, and it is one of Amazon's biggest and hardest to solve issues. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on ethical and social issues in retailing. These are the list of sources and links referred to for the content in the video. Thank you.